Charles Darwin, A Life of Discovery. Charles Darwin is one of the most influential figures in science, whose theory of evolution by natural selection transformed biology and humanity's understanding of its place in nature. This documentary traces his life from childhood, through his voyage on the HMS Beagle, the development and publication of his evolutionary theory, his later years, and his lasting legacy. Born on February 12, 1809, in Shrewsbury, England, Charles Robert Darwin came from a wealthy intellectual family. His father, Robert Darwin, was a respected physician and financier, and his mother, Susanna Wedgwood, belonged to the prominent Wedgwood pottery family. Both families were known for their intellectual pursuits and progressive views. Darwin was the fifth of 6 children. His early years at the Mount, the family estate, fostered a fascination with nature. After his mother died when he was 8, his sisters cared for him. The estate's gardens and grounds offered ample opportunity for exploration. Darwin collected beetles, birds, and plants and conducted chemistry experiments with his brother Erasmus. His father encouraged his interest in botany. Despite this, Darwin disliked formal schooling at Shrewsbury School, finding the classical curriculum uninspiring. His father worried he cared only for shooting dogs and rat-catching, fearing he would disgrace the family. Yet Darwin's passion for natural history grew, fueled by family holidays and reading works like Gilbert White's The Natural History and Antiquities of Selborne. In 1825, Darwin began medical studies at the University of Edinburgh, but found lectures dull and surgery brutal without anesthesia. He abandoned medicine after 2 operations. Instead, he joined the Plinian Society, a natural history group, where he met marine biologist Robert Edmund Grant, who introduced him to evolutionary ideas and marine life. Darwin also took taxidermy lessons from John Edmonston, a freed black slave who shared stories of the South American rainforest. In 1828, Darwin enrolled at Christ's College, Cambridge, to study theology, preparing for a career as an Anglican parson. However, his interest shifted to natural science under botanist John Stevens Henslow, who encouraged his beetle collecting and introduced him to scientific circles. A field trip with geologist Adam Sedgwick to Wales taught Darwin stratigraphy and geological fieldwork. Darwin graduated in 1831 with an ordinary degree, but had developed a strong foundation in natural history, geology, and observation. Soon after, Henslow recommended him as a naturalist for the HMS Beagle expedition. The Beagle's second voyage was a surveying mission to map South America's coastline and improve nautical charts. Commanded by Captain Robert Fitzroy, the expedition also aimed to return indigenous Fuegians to their homeland. Darwin joined as a self-funded naturalist. Over 5 years, Darwin visited Brazil, Argentina, Chile, the Galapagos Islands, Tahiti, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. His observations were meticulous. In South America, he collected fossils of extinct giant mammals resembling living species, challenging the idea of fixed species. The Galapagos Islands were pivotal. Darwin noted finch beak variations across islands, adaptations to different food sources. He studied tortoises and other unique species, sparking ideas about species change and adaptation. Darwin's coral reef studies led to a theory on atoll formation, which, is still influential today. His exposure to indigenous peoples and the horrors of slavery deeply affected his ethics. Despite seasickness and cramped conditions aboard the Beagle, Darwin thrived on land, collecting specimens and making observations that would underpin his later theories. Returning to England in 1836, Darwin began organizing his vast collections and notes. His findings challenged the belief in species immutability. Fossils of extinct mammals resembling modern species suggested species could change. Darwin conducted experiments on variation and adaptation, studying selective breeding in plants and animals. His detailed work on barnacles refined his observational skills. Key influences shaped Darwin's thinking. Thomas Malthus's essay on population introduced competition for limited resources, inspiring Darwin's struggle for existence. Charles Lyell's geological uniformitarianism provided a framework for gradual change. Observations from the Galapagos suggested species adapted to environments. By 1838, Darwin formulated natural selection. Individuals with advantageous traits survive and reproduce, passing traits on. Over generations, this could lead to new species. Darwin corresponded with scientists like Joseph Dalton Hooker and Thomas Huxley, refining ideas and gathering evidence. Despite having his theory by the early 1840s, Darwin delayed publication, fearing backlash and wanting overwhelming evidence. In 1858, Alfred Russel Wallace independently sent Darwin a similar theory manuscript. This prompted a joint presentation to the Linnean Society. The next year, Darwin published On the Origin of Species, detailing his theory and evidence. Published November 24, 1859, On the Origin of Species sold out on day one. Darwin called it a short abstract of a larger work he never completed. The scientific community's response was mixed. Many accepted evolution but doubted natural selection as the mechanism. Critics noted the lack of heredity explanation, later addressed by Mendelian genetics. Public reaction was polarized. Religious groups saw Darwin's theory as a challenge to biblical creation. The 1860 Oxford debate between Thomas Huxley and Bishop Samuel Wilberforce epitomized the controversy. Controversies extended beyond science. Darwin's ideas were misused to justify social Darwinism, eugenics, and imperialism. The suggestion humans shared ancestors with apes provoked outrage. Despite resistance, Darwin's work, Secularized Science, promoted a materialistic understanding of nature and laid the foundation for modern biology. Within 2 decades, evolution was widely accepted, though natural selection gained full acceptance only with the 20th century modern synthesis. Darwin continued his scientific work after the publication of On the Origin of Species. He published The Descent of Man in 1871, extending the theory of evolution to humans and discussing sexual selection. In 1872, the expression of the emotions in man and animals explored the biological basis of emotions. His botanical studies on orchids and climbing plants demonstrated co-evolution and adaptation. Darwin's personal life was rich but marked by tragedy. He and Emma Wedgwood had 10 children, with 7 surviving to adulthood. The family supported him, with his son Francis assisting in his research. The death of his daughter Annie in 1851 deeply affected Darwin and influenced his religious views, which evolved toward agnosticism. Health problems plagued Darwin, including chronic gastrointestinal and heart issues. Despite these challenges, he maintained a rigorous work ethic. Darwin's relationships with colleagues were supportive, though he faced criticism from religious groups and some scientists. He corresponded extensively with supporters like Hooker and Huxley. Charles Darwin passed away on April 19, 1882, at his beloved Down House. Although a private burial was initially planned, public demand changed the course of events. He was laid to rest at Westminster Abbey near the great Isaac Newton, a fitting tribute to his monumental contributions to science. Darwin's legacy is vast and enduring. He founded evolutionary biology, introducing species change, common descent, gradualism, and natural selection. His work transformed biology, medicine, ecology, and genetics. The 20th century modern synthesis integrated Darwin's theory with Mendelian genetics, solidifying evolutionary biology. Advances in molecular biology and evolutionary developmental biology continue to build on his foundation. Culturally, Darwin challenged religious doctrines, promoting a secular worldview and historicity in science. His ideas influenced philosophy, ethics, and social thought, including debates on altruism and cooperation. Darwin is commemorated worldwide. February 12th is Darwin Day, celebrating science and reason. He is buried in Westminster Abbey, and institutions like London's Natural History Museum honour his work. The 2009 bicentennial of his birth saw global celebrations. Charles Darwin's life was a journey of curiosity, discovery, and perseverance. From a boy collecting beetles to a pioneering scientist reshaping our understanding of life, Darwin's story is one of intellectual courage and profound impact. His theory of evolution by natural selection remains a cornerstone of modern science, continuing to inspire and challenge humanity's view of itself and the natural world.